So process-wise, I'm going to share sort of 4 bits of news that are interrelated. And then we'll obviously open it up to Q&A for anybody that has specific questions, and certainly we can do one-on-ones if somebody is more comfortable with that. The other part of we in that is Chris Gomez. I want to introduce him. Chris is our district manager here, and we'll congratulate him too. Chris has been the operations coordinator for the district up here for a long time. He played that role for Scott's before the Kroger acquisition from Super Value. Chris has been in this market a long time. Personally, I think the decision to make you the guy in charge up here is overdue, and we should have done that earlier, but things are where they should be now. So when I get stumped, which will certainly happen because you guys will have creative questions, I'm going to lean on Chris. And potentially there may be some things that we either don't know the answers to or aren't comfortable answering. So we're going to take note of those and follow up. So maybe the easiest way for some of those is just make sure afterwards that I know who I'm supposed to give answers back to. Fair enough? Mm-hmm. Okay. So this morning we're here to announce several things. The one that I think is most on people's minds is the final decision on the North Anthony store. As you may know, and it's been reported pretty heavily, there was a structural collapse of the roof, which also, the way the building is designed, impacted the exterior walls. And after quite a bit of assessment, not just by the owners, the Rogers family and their representatives, but Kroger's engineering team and some contract expertise as well, we've decided that building is structurally not safe to reopen. It's financially not feasible to replace the building. And not only the building itself, but there's a detached pharmacy. We will be closing that pharmacy. The pharmacy licensing requirements in Indiana require a 20-day notice, which will be issued 11 o'clock this morning. So the ticker starts then in terms of requirements. The reality is that once we start discounting the merchandise we are allowed to discount in that store next week, then that merchandise will pretty quickly clear out. So even though the doors will be open approximately 3 weeks, the reality is the merchandise will probably go faster than that. Controlled substance like alcohol and cigarettes will have to be returned to the distributor or the vendor. So there's some items that will not be discounted. So best answer on what's discounted, what's for sale, is to watch our paid advertising through some of you media outlets actually, and the word will come through advertising on that. Now, to cope with the fact that we're closing that location, and in fact it's been closed, we will invest several $1 million in this Clinton Street location in a remodel. We don't know the details yet. The final agreement with the Rogers family was signed yesterday afternoon, and simultaneous with that, instructions went out to each merchandising department, so bakery, deli, meat and seafood, and so on, to start putting together a list of what they think it would take to handle a higher volume of business, but also to make some investments in this store that may be a little overdue, to make sure that the Clinton Street store matched 21st century business expectations of our customers. So those preliminary plans will be put together, and then we will, as is our custom, reach out to the customers themselves, individually, through formal groups, perhaps other means as well, and we want to gather that customer input. Many times that means literally rolling out some design drawings and getting their feedback. We've done that pretty successfully in a couple of remodels in Indianapolis and elsewhere. In the end, it's their store. So we want to make sure that they have input, but we want to have something for them to look at and to comment on. So we'll do some preliminary work ourselves. When we're ready, we'll send the word out through neighborhood associations or others and figure out a way to get their feedback. And certainly the associates in this store know too, so there's an associate involvement and gathering of opinions in what we do. But one thing we definitely know we need to work on is making sure that all 4 retail pillars for today's business model are in this store. So that means obviously food and pharmacy and floral, but this store is missing fuel. And one of the best money savings opportunities for Kroger customers today is up to $2 off per gallon on fuel. Without that on site at this store, that's a problem. So we haven't even talked to city authorities. We haven't done anything more than just take a quick look at the site plan and so on. So engineers are working on it. But our intent is to try to add a fuel center to this location and bring that savings, significant savings, to the customers of the Clinton Street store and the North Anthony neighborhood and so on as quickly as we can. The other thing I wanted to do, really just taking advantage of the fact that we're here this morning, is to give you an update on the last two steps of that $100 million investment that we announced here in Fort Wayne. The last two store projects that were part of that original announcement are going to be finished. And in fact, the Clinton Street project that I mentioned, I assume it's obvious, it was not part of that original plan. We couldn't have anticipated that need. So the Bluffton Road store should be complete by December 2012. That'll be the last step. And again, that's a $2 million plus investment. We'll see how the final numbers come in. So in Kroger's world, that's a pretty significant, that's a mid-sized remodel in our business. The even bigger news, and we'll have it sooner, is the opening of the second marketplace store down at Village of Coventry. That's a $16.5 million investment just in the store itself. It follows on the heel of one of the most successful marketplace openings in the country for Kroger. This marketplace store in Fort Wayne is the first for the multi-state operating division headquartered in Indianapolis. Unfortunately, for those of us that live down there, we didn't get one. You guys got it up here in Fort Wayne first. So now we're compounding that, and you get the second marketplace up in Fort Wayne. But we have high expectations. Chris and his team should do a great job in getting that second one open. We're looking for that to happen first week of October. We'll fine tune. We have a target date of the 8th, but I wouldn't consider that final. We got to see how the merchandising goes and see how the final plans and permits and so all come together. But certainly an October grand opening. And like we did with the marketplace last year, I'll share a preview opportunity with the media for you guys to do walkthrough and so on. But if you have interest in just getting a preview for your readers or viewers or whatever ahead of that, contact Chris or contact myself, and we'll see what we can do working around any construction or other things that are going on in the store. So Bluffton Marketplace, Clinton Street remodel, North Anthony closing. The other thing I want to take just a minute and talk about is jobs. You know, we're in the midst of a national political campaign. You know, there are local things going on. You know, you can't really talk about economic decisions without talking about jobs. You probably shouldn't. Because in the end, what matters most to us as the Kroger family is taking care of our customers, yes, but also taking care of our own associates. There's a reason why we asked you guys to wait till 10 o'clock this morning. We talked to our own associates at 9 o'clock in this same room. And it took us much time. We answered every question. You know, Chris got an awful lot of questions that tell us that they care. You know, they're questions about themselves, they're questions about customers and so on. So as we have done with every Kroger announcement since the acquisition, well, before that too, but certainly up here, when we announced we were buying Scott's, if you'll recall, one of the other things we said is nobody's going to lose their job with that acquisition. And we lived up to that commitment. And then a couple of years later, we announced this expansion, which included some store closings. Frankly, there are businesses out there that typically, when they close a store, they use that as an opportunity to eliminate jobs. We don't work that way. So every time we've closed a store up in Fort Wayne, we've kept the jobs. We lived up to that commitment. It's the same thing here with North Anthony. And in fact, even if every associate from North Anthony chooses to transfer to that marketplace store at Village of Coventry, we still need approximately 100 additional hires. So just to confirm, there was a Scott store at Village of Coventry. There's a Kroger store across the highway. All of those associates will have jobs at the marketplace store. Potentially every associate, I mean, some will choose other stores, but potentially every associate from North Anthony can have a job at the marketplace, and we still need 100. We've had one job fair. We've got some new hires, but we're not done hiring. So the good news in terms of the Fort Wayne marketplace overall is we're saving all the jobs we have. We've brought stability and job security to all the existing employees, and we're creating additional jobs in the marketplace. So I think I've covered the topics I wanted to. Anything you want to suggest?